What's going on? You know it's your boy, Little T. Back in full effect, you already know how I'm rocking, man. Hey, man, check it out, check it out, check it out. So we got, what did we got? I forgot what the shit called. Something about 9/11. Inside, it's called Inside Air Force One. Inside Air Force One during 9/11. Okay, cool. Not cool, but yo, real quick, RIP to all the people that passed away in 9/11.
At exactly 8:32 a.m. on a sunny morning in 2001, President Bush leaves his room at the Colony Beach Resort in Florida and gets into his presidential limousine heading to a local elementary school. The reason for this visit is that he's promoting a new education program. On the scale of priority, this is the kind of event that would be forgotten by history. However, just minutes before Bush arrives at the school, a breaking news message makes the rounds. One that will forever change the course of history. At 8:46 a.m., Flight 11 crashes into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. And the news of this event spreads in a, until then, historically unprecedented
I know that shit was probably
manner.
crazy. I was too young. I was what? When this
28
happened?
seconds after the impact, a camera
I forgot
crew
what year
from
this happened.
WNYW goes
Yeah, I forgot what
on
year this
air.
happened, but I was young.
Tim, just a few moments ago, something believed to be a plane crashed into the South Tower of the
Think about
World Trade
2002?
Center.
One somewhere
At
around there.
8:49 a.m., CNN pauses their programming to cover the crash, followed by CNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS,
Oh yeah, that's everywhere.
Fox News, and international television stations. In less than 10 minutes, the eyes of the whole world were focused on New York City. However, nothing is known about the causes at this point in time, and speculation about a possible accident is circulating in Sarasota, where Bush is preparing to head into the school. Right along Bush's side is White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer, who throughout the day is taking handwritten notes that reveal how everything unfolded from the president's perspective, with White House Chief of Staff Karl Rove informing the president about the impact just before he heads into the school for the event. As the nation listens to TV anchors speculating potential reasons for the crash, the president listens to school children reading stories.
You know what's crazy?
There's
I found
still
this out on Scary Movie when
possibility
Scary Movie
that
did
it
it.
could all be just a tragic accident. But a few minutes later, this possibility can be ruled out. At 9:03 a.m.,
Came in
United
hot with
Flight
another one.
175 heads for the South Tower. Exactly 2 minutes elapsed as the news circulated among reporters and White House staff,
That shit is
with
crazy.
the president being one of the
Getting hit
few
with two
people
planes?
unaware of what's going on, until eventually the White House Chief of Staff leans into Bush's ear and says, "A second plane hit the second tower.
Nigga, shit is going down.
America is
Get your
under
ass
attack."
up. Right. No
A few
disrespect, but
miles
fuck
away
them
at
kids.
this time,
We
a
gotta
U.S.
go.
government-modified Boeing 747 with the usual call sign Air Force One prepares to take the president back on a short journey to Washington, D.C. What no one can predict at this point is that the president will be on that plane for much longer today. After the school event was cut short, senior White House staff gathers in an adjoining classroom for a briefing, following the news on TV, much like the rest of the country, and an initial statement was prepared.
Today, we've had a national tragedy.
Simultaneously, the Air Force is clearing the way for a seamless flight of the presidential plane.
I need you guys to keep a good eye on Air Force One today and make sure that it gets priority. They're going to probably be taking off early here to come back to Washington, D.C. So is there any way that you can help us out on that? Yeah. They're out of Sarasota. They'll be coming back probably in the next hour, I believe.
But whether Bush should really return to the capital in this situation is unclear, as the attacks on the nation continue. While the president is in his limousine heading to the airport, he is informed of yet another strike.
This is coming at 9:43 Eastern Time. We're looking
9:43?
at a
Wait, it was three
live picture
planes?
from Washington, and there is smoke.
Oh
pouring
no,
out
right, they
the
hit somewhere
Pentagon.
else. Yeah, they hit somewhere else. Yeah.
About 10 minutes after the strike against the Pentagon, Air Force One is about to take off from Sarasota. The Secret Service had received reports that a person with an unclear device was near one end of the runway, and the fear was that it might be a weapon. Even though later it turned out to be nothing but a camera, as a precaution, the pilot decided to turn the plane around and take off from the other side so as not to be in the line of sight of a possible shooter. Unlike usual, the plane also climbs at an extremely steep angle, a safety maneuver that can protect against ground attacks. As Air Force One continues to gain altitude, heading towards the capital city, one other plane over U.S. airspace is still under the control of the hijackers. Flight 93, initially heading to San Francisco, had changed course, now also approaching Washington, D.C. As it later turns out,
you not fucking crash me into no fucking building with no fucking razor blade, bro. I don't give a fuck if you got a gun. You gonna have to shoot me, bro. You heard me. I'm whooping your ass.
Had
straight
heard
up.
Of the attacks on New York and initiated a revolt against the hijackers, with passengers attempting to gain control. At 10:03 a.m., Flight 93 crashes in a field in Pennsylvania. Although the revolt was unsuccessful in saving the passengers, it did save lives by preventing the hijackers from reaching their destination. Meanwhile, aboard Air Force One, heated debates are raging about where the president should be flying at this time. Bush himself had given the order to return to Washington, but in the midst of an ongoing threat, the Secret Service was not about to risk it. Bush was barred, or at least strongly discouraged from returning to D.C. Instead, Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana was chosen. Here, Air Force One can then refuel, and a longer plan can be devised for where the president can most effectively carry out his duties. As the plane heads for Louisiana, growing concerns are also raised about the possibility of Air Force One itself becoming a target. While the plane is equipped with flares and smoke screens to detect radar and heat-guided missiles, it has no way to protect itself against an airliner collision.
Why not?
Air Force One is filing a random route, by the way.
Okay.
We don't know where they decided to go, but they still don't have a fighter escort.
They don't got guns on that bitch? They should have AK machine guns on that one.
Adding to this concern is the fact that
get some
some
of them on
airplanes
there.
were not immediately responding to ATC calls, which led to the wrong belief that there might be an additional 3 aircraft still missing. Every plane in the sky was seen as a possible threat now, and therefore Air Force One started climbing to an extremely high flight level, above the usual cruising altitude for commercial flights, heading up to 45,000 feet
He put that
so they
bitch in
can
the air.
outrun anybody. While lateral movement is more difficult to track, Air Force One had this altitude for itself. And then, towards the end of their flight to Louisiana, Air Force One was joined by 2 fighter jets that had taken off from Joint Reserve Base Ellington to escort the president for the final few minutes.
They made sure Prez was locked the fuck down. Oh my god, he said he took that bitch up he did the Snoop Dogg. What Snoop Dogg saying slow plane? He was like, I'm gonna take this bitch up another 30,000 feet, get this bitch bumping and jumping. He took that bitch up another 30,000 feet, got that bitch bumping and jumping. Then the 2 jets came in.
Air Force One was
it came for
joined by 2
backup? Oh
fighter
yeah.
jets that had
They
taken
made sure
off
y'all
from
was
Joint
good.
Reserve Base Ellington to escort the president for the final few minutes.
Oh yeah.
Throughout the flight, Air Force One's normally stable telephone lines were suddenly
my man kick back.
unreliable,
Now he looks
making
stressed. I ain't gonna lie, he looks
communications with
stressed.
the White House, where Vice President Cheney was sheltered in a secret bunker, very difficult. Communication networks across the country were at their limit that day, and Air Force One wasn't an exception. And it was during this flight when a controversial military order was made. One that, until today, is a controversial topic of discussion. In the bunker below the White House, there were
Damn, is that
ongoing
cake?
fears
Give me
that
peace.
another hijacked plane was flying towards Washington, D.C.
For the cinnamon stick.
It later
Ooh,
turned
that
out
cinnamon
that this was Flight 93, which crashed in Pennsylvania 10 minutes earlier. However, the information about the crash had not yet reached the White House, and between 10:12 and 10:18 a.m., Vice President Cheney was asked whether this plane should be shot down if it continued to head towards the Capitol. According to witnesses, as well as Cheney's own biography, he replied without hesitation and gave the go-ahead for the shooting down of a commercial plane that poses danger. The problem with such an order, however, is that Cheney, as vice president, is not part of the military chain of command. According to this hierarchy, such an order comes from the president, with the only other person in question being the Secretary of Defense, Donald Rumsfeld, who is second in line to the president.
Okay.
Rumsfeld could not be reached because he was at the Pentagon, which was itself the target of an attack.
Damn, he died?
And he was busy helping with rescue work on site.
I thought he was in there.
Standing in the same secure room as Dick Cheney when he made that order was White House Deputy Chief of Staff Joshua Bolten. After Cheney made the order, he immediately asked Cheney to call the president to confirm this command.
Facts.
Cheney does exactly so and rings Air Force One at 10:18 a.m. to speak with the president. According to the investigation report, this phone call lasts 2 minutes, which lines up with the notes that Ari Fleischer took. At 10:20 a.m., these notes show the words, "Authorized shutdown if necessary." The question, however, remains. Did Vice President Cheney initially give a command that he wasn't entitled to give?
Boy, I know it's hard being a president.
And stated that he had
I
already
know it's hard as shit being a president, bro. You can't do shit by yourself.
In a previous conversation with Bush. And in fact, Fleischer's notes do show that Bush and Cheney spoke on the phone beforehand, visible in the above entry at 9:45 a.m. However, there is no sign of a conversation about a possible shoot-down. Whether the two spoke about this or not can not be answered conclusively. Upon landing at Barksdale Air Force Base, a more detailed briefing took place, and the president once again addressed the nation.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning.
As Bush delivers his speech, his security team and national advisors have come up with a new destination. The president is determined to head to the White House, saying, "I want to go back home ASAP, and I don't want whoever this is holding me outside Washington." But the Secret Service disagrees, with Eddie Maranzel, the president's lead Secret Service agent, saying, "Our people are saying it's too unsteady still."
Yeah, because you don't know if that's the main building.
Therefore, at
They might fuck around hit the White House.
Air Force One takes off from Barksdale Base, heading not for Washington, but for the Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska. The reason they decided to go here is that this base has the U.S. Stratcom bunker, an immensely protected underground compound with advanced communication capabilities.
That's exactly where we need to go.
On this journey
that's exactly
to
where we need
Nebraska,
to go.
Air Force One is flying almost entirely alone in American airspace. Already at 9:45 a.m., one
Man, look
hour
at all them
after the first
planes.
strike, a complete closure of all U.S. airspace was ordered, after which aircraft
That's
had
what I
to
be telling people, bro. Who be afraid to fly, bro? Look at all these planes, and this is on a daily. And only probably like one crash, maybe. I don't know the average of plane crashes a year. I'm gonna say like 5. To be on the safe side, like 5, maybe 10. But look at all these planes, bro. You just as likely to crash in a car than you to crash in a plane, bro. It's like, so why are you so scared, bro?
land
I don't
at the
understand.
nearest possible airport. At around 12:15,
They be like,
this
what if it
closure
crash?
was
What if it don't?
completed, with all commercial
All
and
these
general
motherfucking planes, you see
aviation
this?
grounded. After landing at Offutt Air Force Base, the president and his team gathered in the U.S. Stratcom bunker. It is located 40 feet underground and is thickly built to provide protection from any possible attacks. In addition to an extensive communication center, there are also several other rooms with offices and
Those said
even
40
bedrooms,
feet
so that this
underground.
station could
They is
function as
good.
an overnight base if necessary.
4:36 p.m. Damn, that shit is smoking. Damn. Look at all the paper.
At 4:36
Damn.
p.m., the active attacks on the nation seem to have come to an end, and the security situation allows the president to take his third flight of the day. Air Force One departs, bound for Joint Base Andrews. But even this flight was carried out under immense security concerns,
Facts.
as the Secret Service
I
not
know it's
only
probably like that for a
worries
couple
about
days,
security in
maybe
the airspace,
weeks.
but also considers possible threats on board. One not frequently reported on concern was that just a few hours earlier, a call had come in at the White House switchboard with a message that resulted in the worst of fears.
What?
The message on the call was "Angel is next."
Who's Angel?
is the internal code word for Air Force One, and what is especially concerning is the fact that this code word was not publicly known, leading
Real, I
Secret
ain't know
Service
that.
agents to suspect an insider
A rat.
might be plotting
A
an
mole.
attack on the plane.
Oh shit.
In face of this ominous message, the Secret Service decided to permanently station agents in the aisle of the presidential area.
Right.
Additionally, another agent was placed near the cockpit door,
Okay.
ready to
Hitman
defend it
shit.
from any intruders.
Damn, I ain't played
In the
Hitman
later
so long.
investigation into the events of September 11, it'll appear that a number of misunderstandings had led to this warning, and that these exact words were not uttered on the phone. It was one of many false alarms that day that severely raised tensions aboard Air Force One.
Yeah, what the fuck going on?
At 6:44 p.m., Air Force One lands at Andrews Air Force Base. From here, the president flies on Marine One to the White House, where he will address the nation from the Oval Office
Damn.
that same evening.
That boy just flying all over the place that day.
A simple journey that was supposed to take just 2.5 hours turned into a tense relay race between Sarasota, Florida and the White House in D.C. All in all, it took more than 9 hours, a time period in which thousands of lives were lost in an
Damn.
attack that will shape the next decades. As for Air Force One, this was arguably the most serious test of its safety capabilities that ever occurred. Many of the protocols were shown to work, and the pilots made decisions to ensure maximum safety. At the same time, the day also revealed weaknesses, with a large delay until the flight could be escorted, as well as confusion due to false reports, and an unreliable communication network. All
I mean,
things that were improved on.
Niggas
in the
lose that training when
following
shit go
years.
down. Some niggas lose.
The September 11 attacks brought the realities of global events directly into our homes through cable news. In the more than 20 years since, the media landscape has changed dramatically. Today, outlets not only rely on TV ratings, but also on generating clicks, leading to increasingly divisive headlines and stories designed to provoke outrage. And it's easy to fall into this cycle of only reading articles that confirm our opinions. To better navigate this, I personally use Ground News, the
Oh,
sponsor
just as
of
an aid. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, man, that's gonna do it for the video. That was a cool little video. I fucks with it. I don't know what the fuck going on with my voice, bro. I keep keep going keep going doing that shit. Woo! But yeah, man, that's gonna do it for the video. Let me tell you comments below. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the vibe, man. Peace. Once again, RIP Dog and P from 9/11.